Hey guys, welcome back to Hack It Out. Got another movie review for you today. I'm still behind, so this is another one that we're playing catch up with. And today's movie review is Beauty and the Beast. This was a movie that I know I watched a lot as a kid. This has always been one of my top 3 favorites of the Disney animated classics, right there behind Aladdin and Lion King. Aladdin's always been my number 1. Beauty and the Beast and Lion King have always kind of flip-flopped for 2 and 3. Just kind of depended on my mood. But lately, because of all the hype for this movie, I think Beauty and the Beast had kind of taken over the number 2 spot because I've been watching it lately. And, you know, with all the trailers and everything going on for this movie, I just really gotten hyped up for it. So all the nostalgia and all the memories kept coming and flooding back for this movie. So anyway, I was very excited to see this movie, and so let's jump right into the review. So Beauty and the Beast, for those of you who don't know the story of it, it's about a girl named Belle who lives in this provincial town. She's kind of an eccentric girl. The village doesn't really care about her all that much. They think she's odd. She doesn't really feel like she fits in. Her father is likewise, you know, he's kind of an eccentric guy, and the village doesn't really seem to care much about him either. So he leaves one day to go take care of some business, kind of stumbles down this road, comes in contact with this dark, kind of spooky looking castle. This beast comes down and snatches him up, throws him in his dungeon. And then, well, not really a dungeon, it's more like in the tower. And then Belle finds out that that's where he is. She goes and she takes his place. Then she's in this castle that is, you know, filled with all these household objects that have basically come to life. And yeah, and then she fraternizes with the beast. They kind of fall in love. La-di-da. Happily ever after, all that good stuff. The story of this movie is essentially the same as the classic animated movie, with just a few minor tweaks. You know, there's some things that they kind of expanded on, some things that they didn't really do so much with, and that's not all bad. It's not all good. The hard thing about doing a review for this movie is that I'm such a traditionalist, and I am a stickler for things being the way they're staying the way that I feel like they should stay. And there are a lot of things about Beauty and the Beast that I was really looking forward to seeing how they were portrayed on screen. And so naturally there were some things that didn't quite make it to the screen that I was a little disappointed with. And then of course there were some things that they did on screen that, you know, weren't in the cartoon that I was kind of like, I'm not really a huge fan of that. And so it was kind of hard to write this review because at the same time, there were things that this movie did that I thought was actually pretty cool. And there were some things that I liked about it that wasn't in the cartoon. So I'm trying to do this review without thinking of the cartoon. So I'm trying to kind of take that out of my mind. But it's really hard. It's a hard thing to do because I do have such a fondness for that movie. Okay, so I am going to have to dive into some minor spoilery details for this particular movie. If you have not seen this live action adaptation, then and you don't want things spoiled, then I suggest you don't watch any further because I will be talking about some things that this movie did that might not be in the cartoon. So, moving forward. So, some things that don't really make a lot of sense. First of all, the movie starts out, you've got the prince, you know, who turned into the beast. He's having this ball, this big party with, you know, all these people. And then the door swings open. The old woman comes in that you find out is the enchantress. Whatever happened to his parents, nobody ever knows. How long has he been the one in charge? Why is he just a prince? Why isn't he a king? How old is he at the time? Because in the cartoon, it's assumed that he was basically like 11 years old whenever he was cursed into a beast, which that presents its own problems. Why would an enchantress punish a kid for essentially being a kid, you know, and cursing them for basically all their life until they find true love. I mean, he's an 11-year-old kid. But anyway, that's about the cartoon. This movie, his age is kind of unclear. It's unclear how long the spell has kind of been in effect. And then my biggest gripe is there's this book that the enchantress supposedly left the beast, that he can, I guess, travel to anywhere in the world that he wants to go. He says it's kind of her cruelest gift, I guess, because, I mean, he can travel anywhere, but why would he? Because he's a beast. Nobody would accept him. Um, I don't know. I thought that was kind of odd. I don't really, I guess I don't understand. Maybe I just don't understand the point of the book. I guess you could say that it's just for him to try to, maybe he can find somewhere to find somebody that might accept him, I guess, for who he is. But it just seems odd that she would just leave him this book that he could just go anywhere he wants, but yet punish him and essentially doom him forever. And then, she put this curse on the castle so that the whole village completely forgets that they have this ruler and then they have this castle. And I don't know, some of it is just a little odd. Just some odd choices they made with it. But I guess it kind of worked with the way the movie was. I don't know. It's you got to kind of put on your Disney glasses and really just kind of get into the magic of the movie, I guess. I mean, Disney movies have always kind of been about that whole, magical experience. It's not supposed to be realistic, I guess. So maybe I'm contradicting myself, maybe not. But anyway, I was really impressed with a lot of the people in the movie, a lot of their singing abilities. Their acting abilities, I already knew that they were all going to act really well because I've seen pretty much all of them in other things, so I knew that they were going to be great. But the singing was really good. Emma Watson really blew me away. She was phenomenal. I thought her singing voice was great. Luke Evans as Gaston, while it wasn't quite as Gaston-like as I would have preferred, it was definitely a lot better than the trailers made it seem like. The first time I heard his voice in one of the previews, I was kind of like, not sure how that's going to be, but it turned out to be a lot better than I thought. And then, Josh Gad, heard him sing before in Frozen, so he was great. Some of the others, Dan Stevens, he was really good as the Beast. I really enjoyed the songs that the Beast sang. The times that he sang was awesome. And then accuracy, I've already basically talked about. Yeah, it veered off from the original material. I'm comparing it to the original Disney cartoon. That's what I'm comparing it to. It veered off in some ways. It added a new character, which I thought fit in greatly with the rest of the movie, and that was Cadenza. He was like a harpsichord or a piano, a harpsichord, I believe, and played by Stanley Tucci. I thought he was a great addition. He really, I could see him as being somebody from the cartoon. Of course, he wasn't, but he fit in really well. And then the length itself was good. The pacing bugged me in a couple of spots, especially at the beginning. I felt like it really rushed. I felt like it was like boom, 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 boom. Here's Be Our Guest. I felt like from the time the movie started to the time Be Our Guest played, I felt like hardly any time had passed, and we were already to that point. Which, if you go back and watch the cartoon, it's pretty quick as well. I mean, it moves pretty swiftly. So I mean, that's something that I would dock on the cartoon as well. I mean, I'm not just faulting this movie for that. And the ending, was great. It was exactly what I thought it would be. Having seen the animated one, it was almost exactly like how the animated one was, just some tiny changes, and it expanded upon some stuff from the animated one, and it was very beautifully done, especially considering they touched on the whole, the village doesn't remember having this ruler and this castle, so then at the end they get their memories back, and I thought that was really neat. It was a really sweet moment. As far as Shoehorn having anything unnecessarily added in, I don't really think there was anything unnecessarily added in. So let's go through the scales. So for story, because I have some issues with some of the complications and some questions about the story, I'm going to have to dock at some points and go one step down and give it 20 points for the story. The chops, singing, acting, everything was great. The visuals, everything was beautiful. I would dock it. This is something that I have not talked about. I would dock it on the Beast's look, because this is one thing that I can't believe I didn't talk about this. This is one thing that I did not like about the movie, and that was the Beast. But I did not want to dock it on the chops category for the Beast's look, because the acting and the singing I thought was so well done that I felt like it deserved full marks for that. So that's why I give it the 15 points. But the accuracy, I'm docking it, giving it 5 points. And that's where I'm going to cut out for some of the things they changed, but especially for the Beast. I was not a fan of how he looked. I felt like they made him too human looking and less beast-like than the cartoon one. I just felt like he wasn't as savage and animalistic as he was in the cartoon. He was a little bit more proper and prince-like. And I mean, you might like one version better than the other. I liked the animated one better. I felt like this wasn't really the Beast from the animated one. It was kind of a different one. But anyway, so that's where it's going to lose points. Accuracy gets 5. Length loses points. It gets 5. Again, because the pacing was, I felt like it rushed a little too much at the beginning. Ending, like I said, ending was great. 30 points. That's the full marks. And then the bonus category, shoehorn. I didn't feel like anything was unnecessary, so 10 points, which gives it a score of 85. So that's a B. I think that's fair for the movie. It wasn't as great as I hoped it would be. It wasn't as superb, but I still really enjoyed it. I saw it twice. I still basically felt the same both times. Now, there are moments in this movie that I was smiling from ear to ear just because I felt like a kid again seeing some of these things and hearing these songs. But the things that bugged me still bugged me both times I watched it. So, yeah, it's not a perfect movie. I don't know what I would rate the cartoon. I don't know if it would get a perfect score or not. I'm sure it wouldn't. But this one gets 85. So anyway, like this video. If you enjoyed this review, comment down below what you thought of this movie. And let me know what you think of the animated classic as well, and which one you liked better. And I'm also curious as to which Beast you liked better. And if you agree with me that this one was a little bit more prince-like and not as beast-like as Beast typically is. So anyway, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out our Patreon page if you'd like to support us and help us to grow and to be able to make more videos like this. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.